It's where these owners get the front to put ticket prices up from what you're watching.
What they know,
for the value. I think we're probably having our worst ever Premier League season. We're 13th after how many games? 15, 16 games.
What started
to put the prices up.
What started at Man U, though?
We'll get back to Jamie, Paul and Adam in just a quick second. But remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And remember to push the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video has dropped. And if you've got something to say, please put it in the comments. If you think I'm talking nonsense, tell me in the comments. If you think any of the guys in the clips are talking nonsense, tell us in the comments. I read all of the comments. Now, it's quite an emotionally charged little clip that we're going to show here. Well, the clip it's in and of itself is not necessarily emotionally charged, but it's talking about a sensitive subject that irks the Big D, one must admit. And that is how your average everyday football fan gets absolutely bent over financially by these Premier League clubs. And what I want you to think about while you're watching this little discussion between Paul Scholes, Jamie Carragher, Adam McKola and whoever else, all the other sort of fans in that little group there, is football worth it financially? Is it value for money? I want you to tell me, in your honest opinion, is the football that you watch worth the money that you pay? And then after the clip, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on that question as well. Believe you me. Anyway, here's the guys.
I want to bring you in because there was INEOS have come in and they came in, great fanfare because they weren't the Glazers.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say it's probably a little bit rocky.
They look like Glazer light at the moment.
Well, and a lot of that of late was to do with the ticket pricing. So one of the things you're unhappy with. Kind of
mentioned like American owners, and it's disappointing that we got Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who's from the local area, and he did an interview with Andy Mitten. And he kind of suggested that, the ticket prices at Fulham are so high, so therefore ours should match it. But then you compare house prices in those areas and it's 1.5 million in Fulham and it's a lot less in the surrounding area of Old Trafford. And I just find it a little bit, how can you overlook everything about the club? How can you be so detached from what makes the club? And I think it ultimately means they just don't care about what fans think. They brought in tickets without concessions for 66 quid a pop. If you want to take your kid or whatever, it's going to cost you £132 for 2 tickets. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I think what they thought would happen was, because it was only 3 or 4% of the overall allocation, like it wouldn't affect my season ticket price. I think I pay about £38 a game, which is probably fair for, I get to see Manchester United every week. It's amazing. But I think they thought fans like myself who already have a season ticket would be like, oh, well, it's not us. It's everyone else. It's going to be the tourists, so it doesn't matter. And it was refreshing to see fans kind of go, hold on a minute. We all need to stand up for this. I think it was the United-Everton game, the Liverpool-Man City game, where we saw all those fan bases come together to try and put a stop to it. Because the minute we allowed that to happen, next season it'll be my season ticket. The season after that, it'll be everyone else's tickets. And we have to put a stop to it. And it's just a shame that someone kind of comes in, pretends to be a man of the people, sacks everyone left, right and centre in the job that has jobs there, and then also tries to crank the season ticket prices up. Yes, football clubs have to compete. Yes, the Glazers have put an untold amount of debt on Manchester United, but it's not our debt. It's the Glazers' debt. It's the debt that they've created. Manchester United were debt-free before they came in, so why do the fans now all of a sudden have to pay for it? And also, we talk about transfers. I'll be honest, I can take or leave Anthony being at Manchester United if it means ticket prices stay the same. Because most of the time they're spending money on crap anyway.
Well, will those ticket prices stay the same? Because I remember when the FSG came into Liverpool and there was the furore about the £76 ticket and there was a big walkout. I was actually in the stand that game and walked out. I had to, I think. I couldn't have seen you sat down. It was in Klopp's sort of first to second season. And to be fair to them, they backtracked and they changed it. After what happened with INEOS is the talk of them backtracking or changing the
there's been
ticket prices?
There's been a few games since where they've brought concessions back in, but ultimately that was because the tickets didn't sell out when you put them at £66. So I suppose fans talking with their feet and, you know, not turning up and paying those prices for it has meant they've had to backtrack. But the minute we're in the Champions League, or the minute, you know, we're in a title race, something, hopefully soon, probably never, but the minute that happens, they're going to just put the prices back up anyway.
How do you stop it? Oh, that's the question. You know, do you vote with your feet and just not go? You've said people haven't been going. I haven't really seen.
I think it was that small percentage of tickets that didn't get taken up at that price.
So it's only a very...
Yeah. So the season ticket holders are already locked in. And that's the problem. They've got us by the balls. They know we want to go to football games. They know we want to watch our teams win. And sometimes you're already locked in. You've got a season ticket. So...
Well, 66 quid for the ticket is ridiculous. For Man United, you think of Manchester as well. We know Manchester. There's so many deprived areas, and as you say, INEOS, Jim Ratcliffe himself is from Failsworth, which there's some nice places in Failsworth. Don't get me wrong, but it's a deprived area, and you talk about people wanting to take the kids with them. If you take one kid, you look at 120 odd quid.
It's a lot worse.
If you've got a family, you're looking at 300 or 400 quid. It's just not right.
Son's a stand where you can't do that.
It's a lot worse than people think, though, because I was at Anfield and they put the banner between the City and Liverpool fans, and it was really stop exploiting our loyalty. And then I went to the toilet, came back out for the start of the game. The 6 Barcelona fans stood in a line in shirts in the away end. I'm thinking, how have these got tickets? And they all just paid big money to City. I don't know why the tickets have got to them. You'd have to go 15, 20 years at least at City to get an away ticket.
City's a bit like that, though, as well, isn't it? I went to the semi-final against Real Madrid a couple of years ago.
So bad.
I've never seen so many foreign people.
You know the worst thing about that particular game? They usually, for those kind of games, they'll make, you know, you have to have gone to this season at least 10 games to get a ticket, and they put it at 0. So it was just touts for getting them. All they wanted to do was make money out of that game, and it said a lot. Do you know what I mean?
They've tried to stop They've tried to become the touts to beat the touts.
There's no more season tickets.
They've seen touts are getting 100 quid a ticket, so they go, hold on a minute, we can do that.
You can't get a season ticket at City anymore, mate. So if
they're trying their best to stop the touts, aren't they? They've got all the e-tickets.
Well, it's because they want to make the money out of it themselves, I think. Genuinely, that's the way I see it. I think the reason they're stopping the touts is so they can sell a ticket for £5.
Soon we'll have dynamic pricing.
And we've got it next season, because obviously we're moving stadium, aren't we? So the dynamic pricing is going to come in at Everton. And yet, my season ticket's going to go up about 100.
Your tickets will all go down price, though. You'll be all right.
You might finish it, but you had to wind me neck in for a bit. But if Onana's in goal for you, we might catch it. But ours, like mine's gone up 100 and whatever it is, 170 quid. These prices have come out, but we know the match day ticket's going to go up. And you look and think, a few years ago, I got to know the Orlando City owner well before he sold to the Brazilians, and they were playing at the... remember where Aldo had the kick-off? They were playing at the Citrus Bowl for Ireland in the World Cup in Florida. And that stadium held 63,000. And they moved to a 27,000-seater stadium. And I was asking him why, when you were getting kind of 45,000. And he was like, well, it's the American... I mean, he's from Stoke, Phil, but he was saying it's the American way. We want 27,000 because people will pay $200. And yet, it's never really sold out now, where they were getting... consistently 35, 40,000 in the other one.
Will the Everton support? Because my father-in-law's a season ticket holder at Everton, and there was all this thing when the new stadium, it's better seats, and you know they're trying to bring money in the club. I get that, and it looked, you know, people weren't happy with the sort of the price jump. Does it look like they will almost sell out next season in terms of people bought into the fact of maybe that, you know, the price rise?
I think it's difficult. I mean, I'll be on. I'm saying mine's gone up. I thought it'd go up more, but it has. When I think, I mean, I've got to pay for my lad as well, so it will be. My missus doesn't know yet, like how much it's gone up, but there you go. But I think, like you were saying, you've got us on the hook at the moment, because I think Everton sell out the games are sold out weeks and weeks before, big waiting list. But that big waiting list, a lot of it will be to do with the new stadium. Now you'll only get that for maybe 2 years. If Everton don't improve, then you start going, will people go? If the ticket prices, say, for walk-up are 75, 80 quid in our city, like you're saying, who can, you know, you might get people who can come in, of course. If we go to Madrid or Barcelona, or, you know, we actually met in Dortmund, didn't we, all those years ago, you'll pay the money for that sort of one-off day, won't you? But from our city, Manchester's the same.
It's where these owners get the front to put ticket prices up from what you're watching.
I know,
you know, for the value. I think we're probably having our worst ever Premier League season with 13th after how many games? 15, 16 games.
What
And they've got the
started
cheek
it,
to put the prices up.
What started it, man?
It really irks me, football. It really does. Manchester United in particular. They mentioned there in the clip that Jim Ratcliffe has said that Fulham's ticket prices are sky high. Why shouldn't Man United's ticket prices be sky high? That's because both teams are crap. Both teams are rubbish. They shouldn't be sky high at all. They should be lucky that they are getting fans coming in to watch those two teams. Man United have been rubbish, as Paul Scholes has mentioned there. And he's got the audacity to put the ticket prices up. I mean, it's one thing after another with football these days. It is vastly overpriced. It really is overpriced. And, I mean, this is just another example of the seismic shift in just everyday society in England. Because the cost of inflation is, it's just going up and up and up. The cost of everything is just going through the roof, but wages are just staying the same. And these football clubs, they're just money-making machines now. I don't even know where to start because it irks me so much. I mean, with Manchester United in particular, we've been crap for a decade. By Manchester United standards, we've been crap for a decade, right? We haven't got anywhere near a European Cup final, right? If Manchester United were winning Champions Leagues year in, year out, and they had players like Kylian Mbappe playing for them, prime Zidane, you had prime Paolo Maldini in defence, you had Peter Schmeichel back in the nets in his prime, then you could kind of justify them charging £66 a ticket. But Manchester United have been rubbish for ages. We've been so inconsistent. We've only had maybe, 3 or 4 players that have been any good in the past decade? It just beggars belief. I mean, you go to the ground and the whole thing's overpriced. I mean, that hotel football that apparently was meant to be built for the fans. For the fans, they charge £10 a pint. £10 a pint! And it's crap drink as well. You know, so... I mean, it's not too bad for me because I go as part of this YouTube channel and it's nice to spend some time with my dad. And my dad's a pensioner and he's got a season ticket. So the season ticket prices for a pensioner is not too bad, all things considered. But it's not too bad at the moment. When is he going to come for that? When is he going to hike those prices up? I just feel as though Jim Ratcliffe hasn't read the room. I mean, he knows fine well that the fans can't stand the Glazers, right? So why is he coming in acting like the Glazers? He needs to get the fans on side. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, football is a working class sport. And its bread and butter is working class people who work all week, who go to the game for a little bit of escape from perhaps a boring job or a hard job or a tough job or whatever. But they spend their hard-earned cash going to see that football club and supporting them. So why are those working class fans having to pay upper class prices for a subpar product? And it is a subpar product. I can understand Manchester City charging that much because they are the Premier League champions and have won every Premier League in the past 7 years, bar one, and they won the Champions League a little while ago. I could kind of understand that. But everyone else, I don't understand how London teams charge what they charge. I think a while back, I think Charlton, I could be wrong, fact check me on this, but Charlton were charging £3,000 a ticket for a season ticket. Charlton. Arsenal haven't won a thing in however many years. They haven't won a Premier League title since, what is it, 20 years? And they charge about £2,000 a season ticket or something stupid. Arsenal. I mean, I used to think that Manchester United were quite cheap, all things considered. But considering the product that they're rolling out week in, week out, it's at least 50% too expensive based on the product that they are producing. And that's the thing. If they want to treat football as a product that it is to make money, etc., fine. At least give us a good product. I mean, take ballet at the Royal Albert Hall, say, for instance, right? They charge about £100 a ticket, right? £100 a ticket, you go to the ballet, but their target audience are middle and upper class patrons, right? So they can afford to pay that to see the latest Russian prima ballerina. And they're happy to pay it, and they know they're going to see the best ballet dancers in the world. Blah 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 blah. Right? Why do football fans watching not even prime world class players having to pay premium prices when they are working class? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute. They are alienating the fans. And in any sort of, it's the same in government, it's the same in sport, it's the same in anything. When these wholesale changes happen in any large organisation, in countries included, it's always the working classes that get hit first. And they just seem to get forgotten. It's like the cannon fodder. I can't stand this attitude that these people have. And Paul Scholes makes a very interesting point. That Jim Ratcliffe is from a deprived area in Manchester. What, has he forgotten about that, has he? Has he been sipping Mai Tais and eating olives for that long in Monaco on his yacht that he's forgotten what it's like to be a hard-working, poor, working class person? And to think, like, things have been really bad for the working classes over the past, say, 6, 7, 8 months. Particularly over this Christmas with, the cost of living crisis and also the taking away of the winter fuel allowance and all of this. It's almost as if... So football could be that one thing that, that elderly person is looking forward to every week, and now he can't go because he can't afford it. He can't afford to put his water on, can't afford a football ticket, he can barely afford to go for a pint. And it's all because of these dickheads. I shouldn't swear. I don't usually swear on this, and it's a mild swear word, I suppose. But I don't usually cuss on my channel. But it really grinds my gears. This issue. I mean, I think about my dad. My dad, he lives for Manchester United. He cares more than me, and I've got a YouTube channel. Genuinely. He goes week in, week out, every single game. The only time he doesn't go is if my mum drags him off on holiday, which is once or twice a year. And my dad's quite lucky, to be fair, because I've paid for a couple of his season tickets over the past few years, and I do quite well, and my mum pays for his season ticket a couple of times as well. She's got a good job, but my dad lives for Manchester United, and he goes week in, week out, week in and week out. And the amount of money that he spends on them, I mean, it just feels as though the club takes advantage of of fans like my dad. And there's fans like my dad who are lucky enough to have a son to pay for these season tickets for him, or a wife to pay for these season tickets for him, and they can't go, or they scrimp and save to be able to go. Yet they have to suffer through matches where they get beat 5-0 by Liverpool, or they get beat by Newcastle, or Man City and things like that, or you have players that are just moping about like Marcus Rashford on 300 grand a week. I mean, why can't these owners just, I mean, how much money do they need to make? Like, seriously. And they can do all the arguing about PSR, blah blah blah. Got to stay within, all the monetary laws and all that kind of stuff. Well, all right. Well, yeah, just make sure you sell Marcus Rashford, get rid of him because he's doing out. Go to the players first, sort the players out first, because the players are the bulk of the expenditure in a football club. Get rid of the players who are not producing before you come after us, the working class folk, So I don't feel as though I'm thinking clearly on this one, because I'm quite emotionally charged now thinking about this one. But yeah, I mean the things that we have to pay for. So we're paying £66 a ticket at Man United now, right? You have to pay TNT, Sky to watch Man United now as well. And they're overpriced. I remember back in the day when you used to have Sky, you'd be paying £90 a month, fair enough. That it's still quite expensive. But at the same time, you got Champions League, you got all the Premier League matches, you got internationals, you got FA Cup, and it was all on one channel, or it was all on one service. Sky, £90. But then BT comes along, takes half of it, but Sky, and they charge £50 a month. But Sky doesn't lower its prices. It just beggars belief. Absolute greed. Greed. Hey. Anyway, the big D's not thinking clearly. So, let's get back to you, the viewers. What do you think about the state of football now? Is it overpriced? Is it worth the money? Tell me about your situation as a Manchester United fan, or you might not be a Man United fan, you might support someone else. But I'm sure these concerns apply to you too. So please vent your frustrations in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.